Hey guys, it's Nicholas here from upgrade2life.com, and in this video I want to talk with you about faith and if this is actually the only requirement, and also what faith is, because it is, in short, the conviction of things not seen. But obviously in this video we are going to talk a little bit more about faith, why it is so important, how you can acquire it, because I see many people forcing themselves to have faith even though they are very doubtful and fearful, so how you can very easily transcend all of this unlovely stuff and be in this faithful state. So let's talk about faith, right? And rather if it's actually the only requirement or if there is more than just having faith. So first of all, I want to share with you some quotes so that we can discover what faith actually means, what it is. So, like Neville said, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. I will continue, first of all, to share a few other quotes, and then I'm going to explain them to you. He also said, if you will remain faithful to that state of consciousness that you have imagined, what is seen only in your imagination will objectify itself in your world. Also, he said, I tell you that imagination creates reality, and I ask you to imagine a state, any state, which would imply the fulfillment of your desire. It doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. It's what you think that matters to you. If you create a scene which implies the fulfillment of your desire and dwell in it until you have the inner conviction that it is real, what does it matter what another thinks? And he also said, the length of time between my desire and its conception depends entirely upon my inner conviction that it's done. So this faith, this knowing that it is already done, you already experienced it. So now I want to dig a little bit deeper into that, because first of all, he says faith is the assurance, like the conviction of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And the question now is, okay, that's great. Yep, I understand this, but the question is, okay, but how can you get a conviction of something that is not here yet? And there's only one way, which is via and through your imagination, by experiencing that thing, and that thing which implies that you already have this new state, or you are in this new state, you already have your goal, because then you get this conviction. It's like, look, for you to have a conviction of something, you don't need to have a physical experience of that. I also told this my clients. That is, for example, when I would ask you, what would happen when you jump from a high building, or what is your name? It's not that you need to do this, not that you need to jump from a building in order to know what happens. It's not that you need to check your ID card to know what your name is. You just know it. You have this inner knowing of, yep, it's real, but you don't have the experience of that in physical form all the time. So the same is with faith. Faith is when you know something is already real, you already experienced it, and therefore you remain faithful to that. I'm also going to give you an explanation and in summary of all of that so that it's easier for you to get this understanding. But that is actually what faith is, right? And it doesn't matter what someone else thinks. This is also what is so important, because like Neville said, when you have an inner conviction of something and someone else will tell you, no, that's not true. When someone else would right now tell me, hey, your name is John, I'd be like, no. And 1 million people could tell me, hey, your name is John, and I would still have this inner conviction of knowing, nope, that is who I am. And the same goes for you, and the same goes for your goals, for your achievements, for your desires. When you have this inner knowing, this faith that you already experienced them in your imagination, they are already within your consciousness, then you have this inner conviction. So I want to give you some explanations, and with those, it will become even more clear to you why faith is so important. I also made a very important video. It's called Doubt versus Faith. I will link this above, because in there I explain also a lot of stuff about faith. I also explain how you can why faith is so much more important than doubt. So check this video out. And now let's talk about my explanations when it comes to faith. So first of all, faith is a result of the subjective experience. It's the result of imagining your desired state, which means you cannot really have faith in something that you don't have a conviction of is already real, which means just that you don't have to force yourself to have faith. Faith is normal when you know that consciousness is the only reality, when you know that whatever you can conceive of, be aware of, experience is to some degree real. It's maybe not manifested yet, but it does exist. It is already there. You can imagine it. Then when you imagine your end result, faith is just a byproduct of that. It comes from you having this subjective individual experience that only you have. No one else knows what you imagine, but you know what you just imagined, and therefore you know, wow, I just experienced that. And through a repetition of that, through the point until you reach this point of relief, you then are satisfied. You no longer want to imagine it, and you already know, yep, that is real, and then you remain faithful to that state. So how to know you have faith, right? Feeling of satisfaction, relief, naturalness is one example, or the current circumstances don't bother you any longer, or maybe even the current circumstances feel unnatural to you because internally you already live in this new state. You already internally have this new conviction built that what is there right now doesn't even seem so right to you, right? So correct to you. You know that this within you is true, right? That is the only thing that counts. And also a change of your reactions, right? I made a video, I will link this, which is called the number one indicator that determines if you have shifted your state, which is your reactions. And therefore you see if you have faith, if you have shifted into this new state, and if you remain faithful to this. And look, guys, that is the only requirement, because when you think about imagination, right? When you imagine something, like Neville said, it is instantaneously a creative act. Like your imagination is a creative act. When you imagine something, you already experience the end result. It is already there. It does already exist. You just experience that. You just experienced it. So in your imagination, things are instantaneously, because there is no separation. There is no time. Everything is just instantaneously as you imagine it to be. But in this three-dimensional plane, we experience things in like time intervals, in like this happens, and then we get the results. It implies that this is how it works. So the only requirement here is basically to have this faith in this imaginal act and to remain faithful to it. That is the only requirement in order to also experience the desire in the three-dimensional world. Because in the like fourth-dimensional world, in the imagination, it is already there. It is already real. You already have experienced it. So that is super important. Right? And also, this is reached, so you reach this point automatically without stress, without worry, through imagining something that implies the wish fulfilled. Like I explained a lot of times before, by you just doing that, you experience your end, you experience it, you have this subjective appropriation of the end, you get this relaxation, you get this inner satisfaction, you get this inner knowing, and therefore you automatically stay faithful to it. You don't have to force yourself to have faith. It comes automatically. It's a great byproduct by you imagining the end over and over again. That's just how it is. So the feeling of satisfaction, relief, and naturalness can be reached no matter how contradictory your current circumstances seem to be. This is also very important. So again, even if your current circumstances show you the complete opposite, show you nope, it's never possible for you, and you ask yourself, how can I be faithful to have this goal, even though there's no proof, no evidence, and all of this stuff, right? But you can still get into this feeling of the wish fulfilled. You can still get this inner, this relief, this feeling of naturalness, this inner conviction, which how Neville described it, and then also my personal experience is the key to manifest, right? You can't worry about and be fearful and doubtful. It's not a bad thing. You can bypass that, right? You can learn how to deal with that. I also made a lot of videos about this. But obviously the goal is to get better at this so that you don't question stuff a lot. And this can reach no matter how difficult your circumstances are now, just through your imagination, through experiencing that thing over and over again until it becomes natural to you. And then you are automatically faithful to it. And again, that is the only conviction, right? Imagination and faith are the secrets to creation. This is how Neville explained it. So it's not about what you can believe now. This will be limited to your current state of consciousness. In order to expand the borders about what you believe to be true, right, what you identify with, it is inevitable to consciously use your imagination. That is something that I learned also from one of my mentors, and that is that look through based on your current state of consciousness, some things will seem to be impossible for you to achieve, to get, to manifest, to realize, right? But that is only because there are borders. Your current state has a border, but to go beyond this border into this new state that you want to occupy, therefore externalize in your world, you need to consciously use your imagination. Because when you only operate in the limits of your mind and in the limits of your current state of consciousness, you go on the borders, but no, not beyond that. But in order to go beyond that, You need to use your imagination wisely and consciously. And that is what shifts you into this inner conviction, right? Where you have faith, where you remain faithful, and where you have like it said, the conviction of things not seen. And you can only get the conviction of things that are not seen when you consciously imagine them until they feel natural to you. Then you are convinced of, yes, that is true, even though it is not seen for my physical, human, mortal senses and eyes. And I want to show you a great scene because some days ago I watched the movie Indiana Jones. I don't know why, I just had the desire to do so, right? I just wanted to watch this movie. And in there was also a scene where it was about faith, obviously in other terms, but this scene is a great metaphor, basically, how faith looks like. Okay, so I want to play the scene. It's maybe like 30 seconds long, so just watch it, and then I will say some comments about the scene. I love it so much, I will watch it with you. So let's look at this scene right now. So this is like a representation of what faith means. So there's a very big gap, and he has to go to the other side, and he must hurry. So he must have faith. Take a leap of faith, he said. Take a leap of faith. So now he takes a leap of faith, and look what happens when he takes a leap of faith. There's no, it's a gap. He walks into this gap. So there's like an invisible platform where he can walk on, and that is basically, I think, a good imagery that you can keep in your head. What faith means, right? So you're just convinced about something that is not visible, but it still is there. You don't have to force yourself to get into the state. So I'm sure the scene is should be over right now. Just a second. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you this because when I watched this movie, I instantly thought about the teachings and faith and law of assumption. And yeah, guys, that is, in my opinion, in my experience, and from Neville's experience from just the law of assumption, that is the only requirement, right? Are you faithful to your imaginal act? And if you're not, no problem. Just experience your imaginal act over and over again until you reach a point of conviction, of naturalness, of this inner knowing, and then you have faith. So it's a byproduct of the subjective experience of the end. And that is the only requirement to, in this three-dimensional world, also achieve your goals. Because again, in the fourth dimensional world, in what we call imagination, it is instantaneously there. You can instantaneously experience it. So if you would live in imagination only, then you would always, if you would imagine something, boom, it would be already there. But in order for something to be here in this three-dimensional world, it needs this faith, this knowing, right? You will acquire this by imagining the end. And that's basically it for this video. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you by now know the importance of faith. So take a leap of faith when you do the next decision or when you are approaching manifestation. If you have questions, leave them down in the comments. I love your feedback. I love your support. Thank you very much, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye.